Hello everybody, my name is Super Chicken and I'm here to try to get back on top where I left off right after they hit us with the ranked wipe. I've gone down from where I was previously, which was, something semi-respectable, down to Angry Chicken level. So we are going to very much try to get that rank back. So let's hit it. I'm going to be playing my Secret Control list that I'm pretty happy with at the moment. It seems to do pretty well against most decks. The aim of the deck is to more or less draw the game out till about turn 9 or 10, then jam either Ragnaros or Ysera or Pyroblast, one of my big finishes. Not too sure about Pyroblast as a finisher at the moment. It's sort of like a glorified fireball, but, So how's this for an opening hand? It's okay. I think I definitely want the Arcane Missiles. The other three can probably go. Whilst I will probably use them very much, yeah, I mean, this can go. That's something I want to draw late game. This is something I definitely want to draw mid game, but I don't necessarily want it now. Mirror Entity is really, really good late game when you can copy one of their big things, but I think it's sort of necessary for me to survive the early game. I can just copy one of their creatures and then trade with it. It might be the way to go. So hopefully, only keeping this one because I don't really have any other good options. And we'll see what happens there. Okay, so, Destiny wanted me to have that Arcane Intellect. Let's see what he does. Nothing. Okay, I mean, I could coin into Fire Blast here or just Arcane Missiles him, but that is not what you want to do. That goes without saying. I think you just want to keep your cards. Keep your cards close to your chest. Don't go and waste them when you could have used it on one of his own cards. Yeah, so he's going to go into 3 mana here, so he may actually play something, so I think it's probably worth coining into a mirror image here. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon, a mirror entity. Hitting him with Fire Blast probably isn't going to... I mean, it's not going to do too much. It's going to put him to 29 damage. My deck goes for the long game, where I'll slog the health away from him really rapidly at the later points of the game. So it's not the incremental damage at the earlier points don't really seem to amount to that much, especially when you start flogging for 8 damage with Ragnaros at a time. Okay, so I copied this guy. It's not a good thing to copy, but I will attack him with his, with my raid leader and trade it away. So I did 1 for 1 it there. It's an ugly way to do it. But I did it. I mean, the other option here is to Arcane Missiles it and have a 50% chance of actually killing it. But I don't particularly want to waste that card just yet. We trade. The whole point of this deck is to last, so we'll trade forever if necessary. Yeah, so what we'll probably do here is just try to get some free cards. I mean, the alternative is to play one of these other 2 secrets here, Ice Barrier or Vaporize. I definitely do want to get them out. They will help me live. But which one I play sort of depends on what he does in the next couple of turns. Like, if he goes off and drops something that I can't really deal with, I definitely want to play the Vaporize. But if he just starts playing sort of scummy creatures like that Engineer or something like that, Ice Barrier. Ice Barrier will fend him off for, so many turns. But he's done nothing. All he did was ping me. Well, in that case, let's put the Ice Barrier down. Might as well get it on the field. Sort of make him second guess. I mean, there's a chance here that he may want to play a card and may not do it. Like, he might lead with another spell. Because he might fear a mirror entity style spell or a counter spell, like I just drew, I mean, he just jammed a Dalaran Mage, so whatever. So, what's he gonna do? Not a lot. He's gonna tickle me a little bit. Do we fear the spell power buff that he's giving him, though? Not too sure. We're definitely not wasting our Polymorph. We'll put down the Vaporize. If he wants to get in for the sneaky 1 damage, he can pay for it. And then we'll ping him. Pinging him there might actually indicate that we feel sort of confident in him attacking us, instead of us pinging his Dalaran Mage and suggesting that we might have a Frostbolt. Nope, he's going straight through and he's going to collect both of my secrets. Okay, so he definitely got around my Vaporize then, because he could have thrown the Rocketeer directly into it. The Rocketeer usually will die to most spells though, so it's not that much of a bigger deal. That said, I don't actually have a clean kill spell here that isn't, you know, my Blizzard. And playing Arcane Missiles will only have a 50-50 chance of actually killing a 2 toughness creature. If it only pings it once, I can finish it off with Fire Blast, but what if all 3 goes into the Mage? That would be deeply upsetting. I think the play here is to put down a spell power minion, like Azure Drake or Blood Mage, and then Arcane Missiles. It just puts 1 extra missile down. We have enough mana to go the whole hog and put down the Drake, so we'll go the Drake. It is more powerful. And we'll chuck down 4 Arcane Missiles and sit and hope for the best. Okay, perfect. Yeah, with the spell power minions, you don't particularly, especially the low costing ones like Blood Mage, you don't necessarily want to play it on curve. You don't want to play it on turn 2. It'll just die. You know, that's not relevant to you. You want to save it for times like that when you can just go 1-2 and then do the 1-2 combo and get that extra reach on a damaging spell like that. So what do we got here? A 6 toughness and a 2 toughness. I mean, we can Blizzard, or we can just Fireball this guy away and then trade with Azure Drake to Shattered Sun Cleric. I mean, we come out on top that way, which is good. Alternatively, we can 5 damage Flame Strike. I do only have 1 Flame Strike, and I would probably prefer to hold it. Yeah, I definitely want to hold it. I think the play here is... Yeah, we're going to Fireball this bloke. And we'll happily trade this way. We are put on 1 health, which is an issue because we are playing against a mage, but... You could be lucky. He could actually play a spell on my character. Okay. We'll put a counter spell up and pass the turn. I mean, we could have pinged him, but like I was saying earlier, it doesn't... The damage that you ping them with doesn't particularly amount to much, especially when you start slogging for 8 at a time, once you get your Ragnaros down. Okay. Okay, that was actually a pretty good top deck just then. We just pulled the Vaporize, and they've just resolved a big minion. There is every chance if we don't destroy this minion that he will try to do something like Dark Iron Dwarf and then buff his guy and then swing in and then he'll get eaten by this Vaporize. So I think that's the way to go here. I mean, it's brutal. I mean, the way to play around it would be to play another creature and get in there. I'm definitely going to hold my sheep though. We're not going to just jam the sheep. We're going to wait for him to play something that we can't handle with Vaporize. Yep. Let's just get everything out there. I'll ping him. We don't ping the creature because it's going to be destroyed by the Vaporize should he choose to attack into it. The fact that it's a taunt creature isn't particularly worrying to me. Yep, there he goes. It isn't particularly worrying to me. I don't have a lot of creatures in this deck, especially ones that don't attack. I mean, look at this guy. He's tiny, man. He's a 1/1. I mean... Oh, so he has another one. See, there's that spell damage creature I was telling you about. I mean, he's probably just drawn it. It's worked out that he had the mana to drop it, so he's dropped it. But I find it's actually better to drop it with a Frostbolt or something like that, just to get that 4 damage or that extra point of damage. It seems to just go so much farther. So, to me right now, I could polymorph his Lord of the Arena. But I definitely think that we should hang on to that. I think the play here is to play Blood Mage into Flame Strike and do 5 damage to all minions. It'll kill them both. I remain ahead. I 2-for-1'd him with a Flame Strike. That seems pretty legitimate to me. So out he comes. definitely want to try to get, you want to double up with your cards. So, I mean, Flame Strike just there took out 2 creatures, 2 of his cards. So he is two resources down for 1 of my own. He spent no cards to remove my Blood Mage, but I got a card back for it, so I haven't really lost out there. And doing trades like that will slowly give you more cards than what they have. And that's when we eventually work our way through our deck to find our endgame creature to finish them off, and they won't have the cards to get rid of it. The Boulder Fist Ogre could be a problem. Unless we have a Vaporize, he is just going to do a number on us. I think... Okay, so we can either Polymorph and then Fire Blast him, or we can just Pyroblast him straight away. I actually think we Pyroblast him here. We save the Polymorph because it's really good. It gets around Divine Shields, whereas this guy's naked and open. Let's just finish him off while we can. Polymorph also acts as sort of like a silence and other things like that, so, you know, excess mana can just go into his face. I mean, if he drops down a creature that has Divine Shield and this and that and you know, or Death Rattle effects, Polymorph will get rid of those, which is really helpful. So Pyroblasting, even though I would love to hurl it directly in her face, it was better served putting it on the creature there. I don't have another Pyroblast in my deck. I only have the 1, so it's a bit of a shame. But, you know, such is life. Okay, so we have a lull in the action. We're definitely going to drop Arcane Intellect. We're going to save all our cards, and we're just going to dig through our deck and find something that is going to put us, you know, streets ahead. Do we have a... yeah, we do. Okay, so playing the Secret-Control Mage would allow us to play the Spellbender for free. I don't think that's really relevant at this point because we have so much mana. But we also happen to have a Spellbender out, so you can't actually put 2 of the same one out. I think we just keep our cards, throw one at him, and wait for him to act. This seems like a really proactive sort of game. Like, you want to sort of have tempo and you want to be acting. And so this deck is a little bit strange in the fact that you sort of do actually want to wait for them to act. Well, there are times where that is true. Certainly here when I have a handful of removal. Okay, so 7 damage to the face would have been upsetting, but it took the counterspell. To be perfectly honest, I actually don't think that the 7 damage directly to my character would have been a good move. I mean, I'm not that low. I have, you know, essentially 29 health. So you're really wasting the card, like you're just throwing it in. And this is just totally useless to me. I realize it's not necessarily in his deck for me, but it's not doing anything. I do have both my Polymorphs, I do have both my Blizzards. I am probably of a mind just to Blizzard. Blizzard and Ping, and I can probably get rid of him just by pinging him after Blizzarding him. I don't want to waste my sheep. I'm waiting for him to drop his legendary, and I will sheep it straight away. I mean, alternatively, I can sheep him and then ping it, and then, you know, yeah, definitely Blizzard. We'll go Blizzard here. If you, I think we already saw 2 of his Shattered Sun Clerics come through. I think that was this game. So we definitely don't want him buffing those stupid blockers. Let's just ping it and be done. I mean, I am at the position where I could Arcane Missile it. But I don't think that's necessary. I think we'll keep our Arcane Missiles. I will ping it next turn. I don't really think there's much that's going to buff it, except for maybe a Shattered Sun Cleric. At which case we can Arcane Missile it later. Probably a Pyroblast maybe coming up. Oh no, well he's got no mana, but... You ever get the feeling that this man is a spell power deck? I've seen probably every spell power creature, other than the legendary, come out. Yeah, so he's very intent on going to the face here. I'm not overly too concerned about that. I mean, we'll ping this man, and I think we'll just fireball the Ogre Magi. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to be wasting our Polymorphs. We've tried so hard to hang on to them, so we'll just fireball him. Still holding that Secret-Control Mage because we sort of want to play the Spellbender for free. There'll be a time when we just want to unload our hand. You know, but at the moment we're holding a significant card advantage on him. There's not that much he's going to do, and we're holding 2 sheeps, so he's sort of got nowhere really to move. Unless he top decks some sort of game-winning card. This is one of the downsides of playing this deck. There are times when you just don't draw the cards you need. I've got 6 cards left and I still haven't seen my 2 major finishes. And they are sitting there, and I have used Arcane Intellect twice to try to dig for them. So it's sitting on my bottom 6 cards here, so this is going to be nice and close. Running a little bit too fine for my liking. So how do we deal with the toughness 5 creature? Not using the sheeps. Not yet. I think we'll Arcane Missile. See how many I actually hit him with. And then see if I need to Frostbolt him or not. Well, I probably will have to Frostbolt him. Regardless. Let's just open with this. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. As long as it hit him once, that means we can now Frostbolt him and Fire Blast him. In one. Anything to take the damage off us. I'm sort of half expecting to get Pyroblasted myself here and be put down to 8 damage suddenly. So we should probably definitely put that counterspell out, because I do not want that happening. So we'll go Secret-Control Mage into counterspell. So if he tries to Pyroblast us, it will be snagged on the counterspell. This Secret-Control Mage is actually really, really well protected. It has Spellbender right here, and counterspell. So there's his polymorph. Takes their counterspell. Okay. I mean, I always get the order of which one triggers first, the Spellbender or the counterspell there. I mean, I probably would have preferred it to go on the Spellbender that time, just so that I don't have to take a Pyroblast to the face later. Looks like he blew a lot of cards just trying to keep the damage off him. I mean, he's... Honestly, the Frost Nova was probably unnecessary. He could have taken 4 damage. Like, what's it to you? Would you believe it? 5 cards left, and I still haven't got anything out. We did get rid of one of his polymorphs, though, so that is very important to keep track of. I mean, he will have 2. That's 1 down. And at this point, we badly need to draw something, so let's get the Azure Drake out. I mean, we are going to deck ourselves. We're going to run out of cards before we can even close this game out, and we need to get something on the field ASAP, because we are not going to make it. So we need to give a lot of damage. We need to have a lot of damage presence on the board, because we need to close this game out, because it's getting dangerously low. Oh, do I throw that at him? No, we'll definitely keep it though. He can still surprise us. I mean, look at the size of his deck compared to mine, just visually. It's only four cards, you know, 8 versus 4. 4 cards thicker, but it looks so much more thicker. Can't say that's too surprising. See, this is what I meant by wanting it to the sheep to go on the Spellbender earlier instead of the counterspell, because the counterspell would have caught that. We do still have a Spellbender out, which means we can resolve a Sira, Sira. Not sure quite how to say that one. This is what the whole deck is going towards. We want to have a counterspell of some kind up, some description. Spellbender is fine. You play your Sira, he'll play Sheep, and Sira lives. And the best thing about Sira is it automatically replaces itself with a card. Yes, it's a lesser card than Sira herself, but it does replace it with a card. So even if they use a card to remove your Sira, you have sort of attacked their hand by removing one of their spells. Because you replace the card in your own hand. I mean, look at his hand. It's only 3 cards and I still have a full hand. Well, you know, a full looking hand. He hasn't sheeped it straight away. He might actually be a little bit concerned that this could be a counterspell or a spellbender. There's a very good chance that he has led with Cone of Cold, so that he can sheep it. He might be wise to my ruse. Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's just... Oh! Almost all 3 went onto it. Oh well. yes, he has a lot of problems. He has some serious issues. I mean, I've got 2 cards in the deck, which is fine. One of them is going to be Ragnaros. Important here, we play the Secret-Control Mage so that we can put our counterspell back on. I say counterspell, but I use that term loosely. The spell Bender will protect Ysera here. We definitely want to put the pressure on. He did Flame Strike us once. He could do it again. Luckily, though, the Laughing Sister actually has 5 health and will live through that, and we were only going to lose the Secret-Control Mage, which was really only a vessel to put our counterspell out there anyway. I think at this point, we go for gold. I think we just hammer him. Whatever he plays next is going to be something that we can sheep. He has 1 or 2 cards. At the same time, we're just netting constant cards from Ysera. So we can blow our hand. Like, we can just absolutely drop it on our opponent at the moment. Because we're just netting cards. And, I mean, if he happens to draw into his second sheep, and sheep it, you know, we are protected, so that's fine. It also probably wastes his whole turn. Yeah, he's definitely struggling. Arcane Explosion probably won't stop a 12 toughness creature. It did put my Laughing Sister in, there we go, Ice Lance will be taken by my Spellbender. And that's his hand done. I mean, that was only going to ever freeze Ysera. And I'm pretty sure just by pulling out Ragnaros, then we might have just won this game. Yeah, totally. I mean, there's so many ways to do it here. I mean, let's just drop him. Give a fire, destroy. Alright, well, let's just put it on the guy who's going to die anyway. And this is how you close out the game. Now, do we let Ragnaros do it, or I'll do it? I'll tell you what, how about I just do it? There you go, that's how you close out a game. And that took me really close to the end of the deck there. I had 1 card left. I mean, it's fine. Unless you've taken a lot of early damage, a lot of the time you can actually sort of be drawing the fatigue cards whilst trying to kill the opponent. So if that's something you like doing, then maybe give this deck a try out. I'll show you the deck list just so you know exactly what was in that list there. How about that? I have a lot of other works in progress, but none of them are particularly good. And a lot of Murloc decks, which are fun, but not amazing. So let's have a look at what I was just using. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a quick run through it. I mean, Arcane Missiles, Frostbolt seem pretty standard. You just want to get, like, lots of cheap removal. And I'll blitz through this list, so, I mean, you've seen 100 of this before. Thalnos gives me that little extra reach on a Frostbolt or an Arcane Missile. Arcane Intellect lets me draw into the very important cards down the bottom here. Counterspell and Spellbender are sort of like what this deck revolves around. I mean, you can play one of your big fat guys down the bottom, and if you have one of them up, they really can't do a lot. These 2 cards are optional, honestly. Ice Barrier and Mirror Entity are sort of... I don't know. I had 2 of them in the earlier versions of this list, but I have since cut them down, and honestly, I could probably cut them further. A Sorcerer's Apprentice would honestly do so much better. Even a Mana Worm, I just put it on that early pressure. Because a Mana Worm will trade with something. Maybe a Sorcerer's Apprentice. I mean, I've even considered Ice Block. Ice Block seems to be alright with an Ethereal Arcanist, where you can just sort of... You know what? That's what the last card would have been in my deck. The Ethereal Arcanist. We never saw him come out. So it helps to remember these things too, so you know actually what you're digging for, what cards you've used, and so on. So yeah, there's my you know, sort of secrets, which go really well with the Secret-Control Mage, because you get them out. You know, put the creature out for free. Secret-Control Mage is a really good creature. And toughness, sorry, beg your pardon, attack 4 is really, really relevant, especially against priests who are like really good at the moment, because they struggle to hit strength 4 creatures. So just putting them down and getting like a free counterspell or a vaporize down is really, really good. Fireball is just sort of like your upgraded Frostbolt. Honestly, you love to put it in their face to finish them off, and they're good to hold. but you will always probably want to burn it into a creature if you can. Just stick to the plan. You want to get these two out, these big cranky guys. As you saw last game, holding Polymorph is crucial. I mean, actually didn't end up having to play them, and I kept them. But I mean, had he dropped his own Ragnaros or something like that, I definitely would have been wanting to play a Polymorph just to remove that. It's that insurance. It's fantastic. Take 2, but don't just blow it on the first thing that comes up. Like Sen'jin Shieldmaster or whatever. I mean, you can throw a Polymorph on that if you must, but like, what's 3 damage going to do to you? Especially as a mage. Like, I mean, because we were playing against the mage just then. I mean, if you're going to be against the druid, he'll probably buff the living hell out of it and crush you, so you may actually want to consider Polymorphing it. Moving right along. Blizzard, sort of self-explanatory, you need the sweeper. Azure Drake is sort of like on the same, he's just a strong creature. I mean, he's on the same sort of thing that Blood Mage Thalanos can do with the spell power, except that the other ability of drawing a card is on his Battle Cry instead of a Death Rattle, which is much better. You just sort of, you're guaranteed to get the card. You're not waiting for it. There's no chance you're going to get silenced by that stupid owl. And look, he's a 4/4 creature, so 4 strength. Do they call it strength in this game or power? 4 power, let's call it power. 4 power sort of gets around that priest, Shadow Word Pain and Shadow Word Death. They can't hit the 4 power mark. Flame Strike is a 1 of. 1. Look, anything that does damage to all enemy minions is fantastic, but taking 2 of them, it just makes for some really clunky draws. Like, early game, you will draw 2 Flame Strikes and you will just lose because of it. Because you won't even get to the 7th turn. Or, you'll get to the 7th turn and you'll drop a Flame Strike, but nothing else will happen because you haven't played any other creatures because your whole hand is filled with Flame Strikes. If you're going to be playing this amount of sort of high end here, because I've chosen to go with 1 Pyroblast, 1 Ragnaros, and 1 Sierra. Look, you're gonna get some fat draws, and you just gotta make some cuts somewhere. I don't run 2 Pyroblasts. I've seen lists that do. It is horrifically frightening to go down from 20 life to 0 life in 2 turns, or even 22 life, because once you include the pinging. That is scary, because you're sitting on a very safe amount of life. And then suddenly you disappear. But for the same reason I'm only taking 1 Flame Strike, I don't want to flood out with fat costing cards. So let's just keep it to these 4 for now. Okay, so why do I take these 2? I actually get asked that a little bit, a lot by a lot of my friends and a couple of people on the forums. At the moment, I'm pretty happy with these 2. I am yet to try out Alexstrasza, the dragon that sort of reduces you to 15 life. And I am yet to try out the Archmage. Those are the other 2 that sort of get recommended a little bit. At the moment, I sort of really like these 2. And the reason is because they come in, and when you play it, they do something immediately. There is an instant effect. You're not waiting for Malagos to pass the turn, so you get your turn back, so you can have +5 spell damage, because the chances are they will just remove him straight away. And so what effect have you done? All you did was tap out, play a card, and then they sheep you for 4 mana. And then, you sort of end up behind. Ragnaros, when he comes in, he 8 damages something. I realize it's at random, but in the last game, I mean, he came out as the last card, or the second last card, but he generally will just evaporate 1 creature of theirs every turn. Alternatively, if you've managed to keep the board clear, which is reasonably easy to do with this list, because you sort of 1 for 1 them or sweep them as necessary, he 8 damages them every turn. And so, in a way, he sort of has charge. So you play him and he 8 damages straight away. He'll either remove a creature for you, which is absolutely brilliant, or he'll, 8 damage to the face. Fantastic. Even if he gets removed at that point, he has still done something. So you've gotten value from the card. Much in the same way, Ysera, and I'm still probably saying that name wrong. Ysera does something as soon as you play her, or rather when you pass your turn. So before the other player gets to act. So you play Ysera and you get a card, and the card it's a strong card for the mid game. They're really aggressively costed and strong. But they're not as good as herself. but you know, you are replaced or compensated with another card. So by playing, you throw her out, and even if it gets removed, you have a card from her ability in your hand. So you play your Sierra, you take one of their cards to remove it out of their hand, and then you are left with a card in your own hand. So you're one up. You're one up. And that's what you want to be doing. One-upping all the time until you crush them and win. And grind them slowly out. Alright, I'll be playing another one in a moment. I'm just going to see how this all went. And I'll chat to you next time. See you later.